The entire arena was shaking, but no one expected the moment that flipped WWE Raw upside down. Because tonight, the Vision didn't just get embarrassed, they got hunted. Raw opened with Bron Breakker walking backstage with Paul Heyman right behind him, talking that usual confident talk. Heyman was telling him how the Vision was unstoppable, how no one in the entire locker room had the courage to even look Bron in the eye. But Bron was distracted. Something felt off. A presence. A shadow moving behind crates. A tension in the air that even Bron couldn't ignore. Heyman kept talking, "My tribal champion of the future, tonight, you show the world that dominance is not claimed, it is enforced." But Bron stopped walking. He looked over his shoulder. "Someone's watching us," he growled. Heyman smirked. "Let them watch." He shouldn't have said that. Because the next 5 seconds changed everything. A loud metallic crash echoed through the hallway. Bron instantly turned, but it was too late. A thick steel pipe swung out of the darkness and connected right into his ribs with brutal force. Bron dropped to one knee. Heyman screamed, but the attacker didn't hesitate. Another strike, and another. Fast, violent, calculated. Bron Breakker, the powerhouse of the Vision, was being dismantled like he was nothing. Security ran in, but the attacker moved like a shadow, fast, precise, untraceable. Everyone watching knew this wasn't random. This was personal. Bron tried to fight back, pushing himself up, but the attacker lifted him off his feet and slammed him directly onto a production crate so hard the wheels snapped. Heyman rushed to Bron yelling, "Get away from him. WHO or you." But the attacker wasn't done. He grabbed Bron by the head and smashed him face first into the concrete wall. The sound echoed through the hallway, and the entire locker room froze in shock. Then, the moment that made every fan stop breathing. The attacker grabbed Heyman by his suit jacket. Paul Heyman's face turned pale. He whispered, trembling, "Please, don't." But the attacker simply leaned forward and said one quiet line, a line that will haunt Paul Heyman for the rest of the year. "This is just the warning." And then, boom, Heyman was shoved violently into the steel crates as the attacker disappeared back into the darkness. Medics rushed in. Bron Breakker wasn't moving. Heyman was shaking, terrified, staring into the shadows like he'd just seen a ghost from his past. Raw went completely silent. Everyone backstage knew this wasn't a random assault. This was a message, a declaration, a promise that the Vision's domination was officially being challenged. Whoever this mystery attacker is. They didn't just attack Bron Breakker. They declared war on Paul Heyman himself. And Raw will never be the same again. Here is part 2 *, written in your high-retention, punchy, fast-paced YouTube style. This continues immediately after part 1 with more tension, more shock, and more mystery. Raw didn't calm down, it only got worse. Because just minutes after Bron Breakker was stretchered out of the arena, Paul Heyman stormed into the medical room demanding answers. His voice was shaking, not with anger, but with fear. Real fear. Who did this? Who walked into my show and attacked my Vision? But no one had an answer. Bron was barely conscious, his breathing shallow, bruises spreading across his ribs. Even the medical team didn't recognize the pattern of injuries, almost like the attacker had training, military precision, someone who knew how to disable a powerhouse like Bron Breakker. Heyman pulled out his phone, shaking, dialing a number the cameras couldn't see. Pick up now," he whispered. No response. He tried. Again. Still nothing. And that silence. It terrified him more than the attack. Because Paul Heyman only calls one person when he's this scared. But the phone stayed dead. Heyman stepped outside the medical room, wiping sweat from his forehead, but the second he turned the corner, another crate fell, another shadow moved, another warning hit him like ice down his spine. "Not again," Heyman whispered, backing up slowly. He wasn't imagining it. Someone was following him. He rushed down the hallway, clutching his phone, breathing hard, looking over his shoulder every 2 seconds. Then, halfway down the corridor, he stopped dead. A message was waiting for him. Carved into a steel production door. "You can't run from what you created." Heyman's hand fell to his side. His face drained. He whispered, shaking, No, it can't be him." Before he could react, bam! The same attacker grabbed him from behind and slammed him against the wall. Heyman screamed. Security sprinted in, but once again, too late. The attacker got right in Heyman's ear and whispered the line that froze every fan watching. Bron was the beginning. Security tackled forward, but the attacker moved like a ghost, slipping between them and disappearing into the shadows for the second time. Heyman collapsed to the floor, shaking uncontrollably. He didn't scream this time. He just whispered, "He's back. Dear God, he's actually back." But who was he? What did Heyman create? And why was this attacker targeting the Vision? Raw ended with one final shot. Bron Breakker on a stretcher. Paul Heyman trembling, and a production door with that chilling message carved into it. The entire WWE universe is now asking the same question. Who is the ghost from Paul Heyman's past, and why is he coming for the Vision next? Here is part 3 asterisk, fast, intense, and built for maximum YouTube retention. No slow parts, just non-stop escalation. Monday Night Raw returned from commercial, but the atmosphere was not the same. The entire arena felt the tension. The commentators kept whispering like they were afraid the attacker could hear them through the cameras. Backstage was on lockdown, security doubled, Triple H arrived, and Paul Heyman, he was pacing like his world was caving in. Triple H stepped up to him, trying to stay calm. "Paul, who is it? Who do you think is doing this?" Heyman didn't answer right away. His hands were shaking, his eyes wouldn't stop scanning the shadows behind Hunter. Then he finally whispered, "It's someone I buried a long time ago. Someone who isn't supposed to walk in this building ever again." Triple H narrowed his eyes. "Give me a name." But Heyman didn't, because right then, every monitor in the hallway suddenly glitched. The screens flickered, static flooded the hall. Then, a distorted figure appeared. A hooded silhouette, voice scrambled, face hidden, but the message was clear. "Paul, you thought you erased me." Heyman stepped backward like he'd seen a ghost. The figure continued, "You created the Vision. You made Bron Breakker your weapon. Now I'm here to break your future. Just like you broke me." Triple H yelled, "Shut it off." But the screens stayed on, even stronger. Security tried pulling cables, smashing buttons, nothing worked. The figure leaned closer into the camera. Bron Breakker was message number 1. Raw went completely silent. Then the figure said, "Message number 2 is coming. Right now." The screens cut out. Triple H grabbed Heyman. "Paul, who is coming after you?" But before he could answer, a scream echoed across the hallway. Everyone turned. Camera sprinted down the corridor as officials shouted, "We need help." Now, the attacker had struck again. This time, another member of the Vision, a wrestler laid face down on the ground, unconscious. Production equipment smashed everywhere, a steel pipe on the floor. Heyman froze. Triple H stared at him. "Paul, this is Escalation. He wants your entire faction destroyed." But Heyman wasn't looking at Hunter. He was staring at something carved into the wall beside the unconscious body. This time, the message wasn't a warning. It was a promise. "You're next." Heyman dropped to his knees. He knew exactly what that meant. This attacker wasn't done. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't running. He was coming directly for Paul Heyman, and anyone connected to the Vision. Raw went off the air with officials surrounding the fallen superstar, Triple H yelling orders, and Paul Heyman whispering the same haunting words. "He's back. He's actually back. And he's coming for me." Here is part 4 asterisk, even more intense, designed for maximum audience retention with fast pacing and escalating suspense. Raw opened its final hour with the entire locker room on edge. Security was positioned at every corner. Triple H had personally ordered a full sweep of the arena. No more surprises. No more shadows. But the attacker, he wasn't hiding anymore. Paul Heyman was escorted to a private office, 2 security guards at the door, the lights bright enough to eliminate every shadow. Triple H walked in behind him. "Paul," he said, "this ends tonight. I need a name." Heyman swallowed hard. His voice barely escaped his throat. "I thought he was gone, Hunter. I thought he was finished. I thought he would never, ever return." Triple H leaned forward. "Who is he?" Heyman finally answered. "It's someone I betrayed. Someone I left behind. Someone who knows every weakness of every client I've ever managed." Before Hunter could say another word, the lights cut out. Dead. Silent. Total blackout. Triple H shouted, "Generators. Now." But instead of power, a single red emergency light flickered on. Then another. Then another. The hallway glowed in blood red. The security guards outside the door suddenly went quiet. Triple H slowly glanced at Paul Heyman. "Stay behind me." But Heyman didn't move. He was frozen, because the red lights were leading to one direction. Straight to their door. A loud thud hit the wall outside. Then another. Then a dragging sound. Something heavy being pulled across the floor. Triple H unlocked the door, ready to confront the attacker head-on. But the moment he opened it, a body fell forward onto the floor. One of the security guards. Unconscious. A message carved into his vest. Stop running. Heyman stumbled backward, eyes wide. Triple H stepped forward. Show yourself. The red lights began shutting off one by one. Getting closer, 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 until only one light remained. A tall silhouette appeared in the doorway. Not running, not hiding, just standing there, watching Heyman. Triple H stepped in front of him. Who are you? The figure didn't answer. He slowly raised his hand, holding a broken steel pipe, and pointed it directly at Paul Heyman. Then, the voice finally came. Deep, broken, familiar. You built the vision without me. So now I'm here to destroy it. Heyman whispered, trembling. No, no, it really is you. The attacker stepped into the light, revealing nothing except his jawline, a scar, and a cold expression. Triple H lunged toward him, but the attacker threw a flash of smoke and disappeared into the darkness again. Officials rushed in, alarms blaring. Triple H choked on the smoke as he shouted. Lock the building down. Find him now. But Paul Heyman didn't move. He just stared where the attacker once stood. Because this wasn't a nightmare. This wasn't paranoia. This was personal vengeance. And, the attacker had made it clear. He wasn't finished. He hadn't even started. Raw cut to its final commercial with Paul Heyman whispering into the smoke-filled hallway. He's back for everything I stole from him. And he won't stop until he takes it all.